I'm going to close here talking about what we call the sense of self, because you need a sense of self to be able to get the best out of any community you expose yourself to, right? There is no innocent interaction in life. That's why Jesus Christ says, the Bible, the Holy Book talks about the fact that it's not just to be careful about what we hear. It says you should be careful about how, H-O-R, you hear, right? Because how you hear will affect you, right? Two people are going to hear the same thing, but they will have two different influences from what they heard, right? Because you must never go to life empty, right? If you go to life empty, life is going to just bamboozle you. You must always go to life with who you are, and with who you are, interpret any other thing that you receive, such that you can take the positive and release the negative, right? You don't just take everything hook, line, and sinker. You only take that which will empower you and throw away that which will not empower you. That's the way to win in life, right? And ability to do that is called a sense of self, or what we call self-image, right? So the next 3 slides, I'm going to do some talk around that, and hopefully we can all get blessed from that, right? So sense of self is what we call having a self-image, and your self-image is going to determine whether you win or lose in life, whether life is going to bully you or you're going to stand up to life, right? It's all about how much self-image, what's your self-image, what's your sense of self? Is it strong? Is it weak, right? So that's simply the sense of self is your perception, right, of who you are, that your image of yourself. That's it simply just goes self-image, right? It's your image of yourself. It's what we call the sense of self. If that image is not good, you're going to be battered by life. And I know the two because I've been there, right? I've come from a place where I had a low sense of self, and I used to beat myself up, right? Anything goes wrong and I beat myself the more. I say, I talk negative about myself, right? And the teaching I received in church did not necessarily help me, right? Because it was all about falsehoods. We're talking about, people emphasize the external things rather than the internal things, right? And one of the things I was just going to say about some things I took from my church community, which are negative, things around, I've heard so much around people talking about individuality, there's the emphasis to de-emphasize individuality and more like emphasize groupthink, which is devilish. God created us as individuals for a reason, right? Groupthink is going against the creation of God, right? You must think through anything you want to associate yourself with and make your own decision whether you want to do it or not. Anything other than that is witchcraft. Witchcraft is that which causes you or bypasses your thinking level to just go to your subconscious level. Anything that bypasses your ability to think and make your own decision is witchcraft, right? God says, come and let us reason together. That's the standard for life. Come and let us reason together. Anything other than that is of the devil, right? So wherever you find yourself that someone is trying to de-emphasize your personality, your individuality, the person doesn't like you, doesn't love you. That person is from a devil, right? God made you an individual for a reason. And he needs that individuality for you to achieve your purpose in life, for you to gain everything that he has for you to have the right association with money, right? Um, I will talk a bit more about that as we talk more about community and money. I'm just going to share about 6 points here on how to identify a strong personality or a good self-image of yourself, right? If you have a good self-image of yourself, you will make decisions that are best for you independently, right? You don't just always put yourself down, put yourself second. You make the decisions that are best for you without being influenced or witchcraft, right? Number two is that you have a high regard for yourself, right? Don't forget, humility is not thinking about yourself. It's not thinking about yourself as being small. It's just thinking less. How does is that? How does it put it down? It's being humble. It's not beating yourself down. Being humble is just being considerate, right? You see, someone that doesn't have a good self-image cannot be humble, because someone that doesn't have a good self-image is already humbled. A person that is humbled cannot be humble. You have to be strong to humble. If there's no strength, you cannot be humble, right? A person that's already humbled cannot be humble. It's already humbled. So you need to have a good sense of self, a good self-image for you to truly be humble, right? Number three, you are your own best advocate, right? You're in the best position to fight for yourself, right? And it's someone with a good sense of self is able to fight and speak for himself, right? Sonia Gregoso says that having a strong sense of self matters every day and in every situation. Without a sense of self, people feel lost, right? They're indecisive, they're anxious, they're depressed, and many times hopeless or worthless. And that just tells about what we have today, right? With a lot of depression around, a lot of anxiety attacks, and all of that stuff, is because people don't have a strong sense of self. And that's what we're supposed to give to them as healers, right? Is to give people a strong sense of self. That's the way you fight against depression. That's the way you fight against the devil's attack in people's life, right? The devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. For you to be able to attack that, you give people a strong sense of self so that they can have life and have life more abundantly, right? So if you don't understand yourself very well, you run the risk of turning down expansive things that could love, that you love, right? And say yes to things that you hate. Yeah, you make the wrong decisions if you don't have a strong sense of self, right? So you need a strong sense of self, right? And if you have a strong sense of self, you feel good about your development as a person, right? You feel good about your development as a person because your development is linked to every other thing in your life. As you develop as a person, you develop in wealth, in riches, your ability to market, your ability to sell, right? And your ability to be a good person, right? If you have a good sense of self, you're receptive to whatever anybody wants to say around you, right? I mean, I really don't get worried if anybody wants to abuse me or say anything about me because I already know who I am, right? But if you don't know who you are, you're worried about what are you saying about me? What are you saying about me? That's because you don't have a good sense of self, right? With a good sense of self, all of those are not to be considered, and that they're nothing, as it were, right? We have Yesenia Dominicus has this to say around that. It says, you're open to change. If you have a good sense of self, you're open to change. Change does not bother you. Change does not scare you. A person with a strong sense of self will adapt to their environment, right? It's natural to have fears and anxiety about change, but people with good sense of self are able to find a way to keep on going through the changes, right? For you to adapt to a changing world, all this pandemic and all of that, you need a good sense of self, right? And lastly, number 6, you are emotionally intelligent and know how to tune into what's happening internally, right? You're able to understand yourself and you're not unbalanced, as it were. You're not being carried away by every wind around, right? And Yesenia Dominigos has this more to say on that. Says this is a difficult one to accomplish, right? But comes with practice, often in therapy. But becoming aware of the things that trigger certain emotions and doing some things with that information feels right for your journey, right? You're already drawn to make decisions that don't honor your moral code because there's a spiritual alignment at play. You're connected to yourself and can apply healthy and appropriate reactions to anything that pops up, right? So another benefit of having a strong sense of self, you know? All right, that's all I got for you today. I'm going to stop here and I'm going to feel free again. If you have any questions, something you want to contribute, want to join it, we're here. We have a channel on Facebook and we are here on YouTube. Feel free to come along and we can all learn together and have a good time. God bless you till I come your way again next Sunday. Keep winning. Love you. Bye-bye.